All the C's with the C64, C16 and CPC game. Guzzler is a 1984 game by Interceptor. No, not the one in the helicopter.
Watch yourself, matey.
Starting off on the C64, it's created by Jason Benham. Got lots of options here on the menu screen. You select things like lives, difficulty level, and various other things. But the back of the game says, help greedy Guzzler through the maze in search of keys that will unlock the food cells. But be careful, the terrible Frobbles heavily guard their food supplies, and if Guzzler gets too fat, he won't be able to escape. You're already thinking, Mr. Do. So you're the little rat who goes around, might be a mouse actually, but I think he's a rat. You go around, you get a key, get into a section there, and you eat the food. When you do that, you become larger and can't go through those smaller sections, and you have to touch Deflated Dennis, who is that ghost thing with the legs that goes around the edges. I'm not using a cheat there, but I managed to literally touch that baddie without dying. Not complaining. Another key. This first level is quite hard because you get trapped in half of the maze with the baddies until you get the key to the other half of the maze. And by the way, you can't touch Deflated Dennis when you're not a fat. It's basically, as soon as you've got 4 of the food items, you inflate and then you can touch him. Otherwise, you can't touch him and he kills you. The baddies appear to move around in a random manner. They don't home in on you or anything like that. It seems to be randomised. It's not like Pac-Man where there's different ghosts with different levels of intelligence. They just wander around. Deflated there. Oh, this tune reminds me of another game. Now this is going to bother me, isn't it? Right, so the final key for this side of the maze is up there. Down we go and through there. Over to the CPC, the game was released on CPC 2 years later on budget by Players. For Interceptor and Players are the same company. A fact I only learnt, well, today to be honest. Didn't know that, perhaps it's common knowledge. I just had no idea that Players and Interceptor were the same people. CPC version is produced by Richard Paul Jones. And we've got a few other contributors as well. In-house conversion, I think, by Players. They did a few of these with their own programmers. And it's a curious game because there's a C64 version, a CPC version, a C16 version, but no Spectrum version. And nice options for a green screen there as well. So it's in CPC's Mode 1, Medium Res, and Don't Touch Deflated Dennis, as I mentioned. Very low level soundtrack. But this higher resolution means the maps are slightly larger. And you don't get those options either on the CPC to change lives or the fuses on the bombs. Oh, no, I've touched Deflated Dennis again. You've really got to keep an eye on where he is. And of course on the CPC with this 4-colour palette, which is very effective. But Deflated Dennis is very hard to spot sometimes at the edge of the map because he's the same colour as the rest of the sides of the map, really. So those little sections there are the ones you can't go through if you are, well, inflated. Another key. This first map is the worst. I think it's the hardest. Oh, died. I think this first map is the hardest one in the game. C16 version has this very loud menu screen. And I left it running a little while on the C16, came back and the game had crashed. So I don't know what was going on there, had to reload it. So it's a little bit faster. As you can see, there's no background music, there are just sound effects on the Commodore 16 and the animation is somewhat lacking. But there's nice spot effects. Oh, I can't get out. Oh, Right, okay, another go. Watch out for Deflator Dennis, who's flickering his way around the edge of the map. Right, got those. Deflated already. Gotta go find another key. Down we go. Oh. And because of the random movement of the baddies, you have to be patient sometimes. There's no timer on the game, so... Oh no! Oh, hang on, the map's reset. On the CPC and C64 versions, when you die, the map stays the same as it was up to that point, if you see what I mean. So any food items you've got remain collected. Here on the C16, it resets back to the start of the game, so everything's... That's going to make it much harder. That's going to make it so much harder. Imagine getting through this map and then this maze and then being one section from the end, dying, and the entire lot resetting back to this state again. Oh, that's going to be... This is much, much harder than the C64 version. Game over. I think I'm going to need to find a cheat. So here we are on the CPC. Towards the end of level 1. Oh, why can't I pick that up? I can't pick up the key until I've deflated. Right. There we go. Right, got the key. Just got to get up the top there. That will watch him. And in we go. And the Guzzler logo at the top there will text. Bonus items like Mr. Do appear, and a giant G will wander around the map, and you have to collect him, and then the U, then the Z, and the Z and L, in the E and the R, across all the levels of the game. And that gives you bonus points. Right, we've deflated there. It's bananas this time. It's a very effective use of the CPC's medium resolution here. Changes the game slightly, makes it slightly more sedate because you've got more space to wander around in. The map is slightly bigger. But it looks very nice, especially the shading on the cherries at the top right hand side of the screen there. Back to the C64, that's the end of level 1. Get ready. The baddies are paused at the beginning of the level apart from Deflator. Was it Dennis? Dave? So you get a little head start. Now it's waiting for him to come down here. There we go. Down I go. You have to plan, if you're going to eat the food, your way out, because you will suddenly hit dead ends that the baddies can go through and you can't. I think the mouse or the rat sprite is nicer on the C16. It's not as animated as well, but I think it's a nicer sprite. There's the G, I need to collect him. 2,000 points for that. Sometimes the baddies speed up, and I'm not quite sure why. They seem to go through a brief phase of it. It doesn't seem to be related to the game code. They seem to do it for a reason, but I'm not sure why. It could just be random, of course. See what I mean about level 2 being easier than level 1? You can wander around the entire map, so the two baddies are easier to evade. Whereas on level 1, you're trapped in that left-hand side of the maze, and you can't get away from them, and they're guarding the keys you need to get. Beware of dead ends as well, because the random nature of the baddies, they can come get you. You can drop bombs as well. I haven't mentioned that. You have a limited supply of bombs you can drop that Well, they're pretty useless, to be honest, because all they do is stun the baddies. They don't kill them. They don't even make them go in another direction. The baddie will continue on once he's finished. So if you're trapped in a dead end, chances are you're still going to die. So you won't see me using the bomb as much because it's fairly pointless. So I can put one off there. And he went the other way anyway. I'm using a cheat here on the C16 now. As you will see, the ghost touched me and I didn't die because I can't get off level 1. Which is ludicrous. I'm off of the different levels on the C64 version. I've got no cheat at all and progressing through the game nicely. CPC version, I'm on infinite lives just to get deeper into the game. But you don't really feel you need it. I feel like I keep coming back to this game and improving, but the C16 version is utterly impossible. So they've got 3 baddies on level 5 on the CPC. And they remind me, is it Mr. Chips from Catchphrase? Again, there's only 4 colours on the screen. It kind of works. It works well. Again, look at the they're apples, aren't they? Look at the shading on them. It's really rather nice. This could look very basic, and it doesn't. It's got a certain amount of polish to it. A little bit of animation on the mouse as he moves around. Remember, on the CPC, this is a budget game. On C64, this was a full price game. On the CPC, as far as I can see, it was released by players on budget in 1986. For $1.99, you really aren't going to complain, are you? Right, need to watch out for Deflatine Dave getting past, and let's go and eat some apples. You can only collect 1 key at a time. A rather vital point. You can't just go around and collect all the keys and then eat or go through all the doors. You get 1 at a time and that's it. And now I've got to wait for Dozy Doris to come past. Come on. There we go. We can go through that gap and we can go up to the next door. Should mention the Cinevision calendar is now available. Check out cinevision.com. A3 in size, full litho printing, full colour, and all the games are from original hardware. We've got 11 different formats on there. CPC, Spectrum, C64, C16, BBC, ST Amiga and more. So check that out at cinevision.com. Stocks are limited, so order yours in time for Christmas today. And by doing so, you're supporting Cinevision do stuff like this. Back on the C16, doesn't it seem rather basic coming across from the other versions of the C16? And a little bit frustrating because you're having to play this, or I'm having to play this, with a Commodore joystick, which is as responsive as you can imagine. The level layouts are the same though. The animation is different, and I just remind you, I am using a cheat on this version, no collision detection with the main baddies. And the purpose of that cheat is just to show later into this game. And for 16K, it's not bad at all. Level 6 on the C64, and I'm out of lives, so I've got this life and no more left. So here comes Derek, and alright, let's get a key. I'm going to eat some more apples. I'm trapped, that's it. That's what I mean about being trapped. I've got no bombs left, and even the bomb wouldn't necessarily stop me being eaten. Game over. You guys are for 13 minutes 26 seconds. Oh, lovely. Nobody does it better. Check out Smirch Pod with Mr. Ken Shabby if you're into your Bond. By the way, on iTunes and other podcasting applications, superb James Bond and action movie themed podcast. That's Smirch Pod with Mr. Ken Shabby. Oh, I like this. I feel really rewarded. Nobody's done it better because I've got top score. Chinny's the best. Guzzler's been a real surprise for me. I loaded this up on CPC just to see what it was, and I was met with a really good quality budget computer game. Yes, it borrows from other arcade games, most notably Mr. Do, and no, it has nothing to do with Guzzler arcade game, but on the CPC and C64, this is something pretty good. If you like Mr. Do, then this is certainly one to check out. On the C16, there's a few things missing. The animation isn't as good, and things like the bonuses don't work quite the same way as they do on the other versions. But if you've got a C16, it's also a game worth playing. I wonder what the reason is this game hasn't had more attention. Perhaps it's because players are a bit of a second-tier budget software house, but this certainly isn't a second-tier game. I don't think it's highly original. I think it's extremely derivative of games like Mr. Do, but that's not a bad thing. Mr. Do is a superb game, and no matter what format you've got, you should play this game because, you know what? I've had quite a lot of fun playing it.